believe in that. Uh, I guess it's good morning. It's cloudy and dark and cold. That's about as good a morning as you can get. Not just for me, but because it's the spooky season. I'm kind of sad about the way the algorithm has trended. It seems like last week I was getting a lot of Halloween related memes, and now they're all gone. They're all gone, and now Macy's is showing Christmas commercials. It's like, I could understand some aspects of Halloween just getting skipped if it was on like a Wednesday, right? Like all your kids are going to trick or treat or trunk or treat or whatever at the church or community event or whatever. If you're doing that on, a school night or the weekend before, we got Halloween on a Friday this year. There's no reason we should just be skipping over it. People like just not down for Halloween this year because we're just skipping to Christmas. I feel like Halloween kind of I don't know, it's not fair. We just skip past it. But what's really unfair is skipping past Thanksgiving. Like, I get it. We're not a grateful society. We're not thankful for anything. So we just go straight to the part where we get presents. But maybe there's not enough of a culture built around Thanksgiving, or maybe there's just not enough spending built around Thanksgiving. There's spending built around Halloween, like costumes, candy. But I think at least Halloween has a certain culture about it. People like Halloween for what it is. I love Thanksgiving, but you know, uh, Thanksgiving happens in the midst of Christmas. I can remember a long time ago that I was in a job interview once, and it was at a retail store. And I remember saying to the boss on the way back to the office where I would be interviewed for this job, where I would unfortunately, the interview went badly enough that I actually got hired by this terrible company. And remember mentioning that the Christmas shopping, now really started as early as Veterans Day, November 11th. I'm guessing if I went down to the store now, I'd already be seeing substantial Christmas displays. I don't know, it just ruins it for me a little bit. You got to have some anticipation. D, it's good to see you. You're here early for once, morning. Well, I started the show early last week. Now you're just sort of on time. D is frequently here. She's just a lurker, though. Shorty says, hey, everyone. Hey, John, I'll catch up on the show later. She's gone back to bed. Thani Melanie is smoking for her smoke break. She's legally required to be here. Michael Hendricks is here. Jenny's here. Am I just way off on the belly aching about it? Like, it doesn't matter, right? Salamander's here. Chase is here. I'm 40 years old. What does it even matter? I don't go trick-or-treating. I don't dress up. Halloween has been something that's been disappointing me for a long time. I never used to really understand Linus and It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Like, I would watch that cartoon and I totally didn't get it because Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown has this really well set up plot where it's like everyone feels depressed around Christmas and what's the point of Christmas, and Sally's kind of kissing ass to Santa, and Snoopy's leaning hard into the commercialism of it all. You're trying to find some meaning in Christmas. Well, Linus helps Charlie Brown figure out the meaning of Christmas. Well, when Halloween comes around, you're just like, well, what was the point of that? Like, if Christmas was about how faith is the point and faith should be rewarded, what did we learn from the Halloween special? I guess don't put your faith in the wrong things, I guess, since the Great Pumpkin is either not real or that patch was not sincere enough. But I think now that I'm 41, I realize that the lesson is Halloween's disappointing. That it's good. It's good from about 6 to 7 p.m. when trick-or-treating happens. After that, it's over. But, I haven't been invited to a party or gone apple bobbing or any of those things that the Peanuts gang has gotten to do. I haven't gotten to do any of those things since I was a kid. So maybe it's just that Halloween is a kid's thing. I don't know. Hello, Elijah. Been too long. I don't even want to guess what you've been up to instead of watching the show. But whatever it was a waste of time. As a Native American, I don't appreciate you white eyes celebrating Thanksgiving at the end of the ending of my people. Michael, for some reason, within the last 3 months, has really leaned in towards just being that guy. It's sometimes upsetting the random person who comments in the video, but they're just prepared to do battle with you because you're just embodying the random belligerent comment section guy. Michael Hendricks, if he could dress up, he would dress up as the random comment section guy that fights you for no reason. I've been getting into it a lot lately on Instagram. And people will fight you about anything. It doesn't matter what it is. And it doesn't matter what the post is. Someone will make it about Trump. Like there's this guy that likes to take I don't know what it's called. It's not a lathe, but he takes pennies and puts it on there and uses it's a machine that spins it up real fast. And he uses, little tools to kind of do intricate designs on them. And everyone's all like, "Oh, you're going to jail. That's defacing federal money. That's a crime. Prepare to go to jail. You're doing felonies right here on the internet." And it's just like, first of all, who the fuck cares? Like, what federal prosecutor is going to chase down the guy who owns an Instagram account whose money that is his money? It's not the government's money, by the way. It's his money, and he's defacing it for artistic value. But then there's somebody who gets in there and then they make some sort of comment about, well, he may as well do this since our president's a felon. And I'm just like, no matter what, you cannot click on anything on Instagram without someone taking whatever it is that's there and making it about Donald Trump. Some of the people who have Trump derangement syndrome, they are obsessed with Donald Trump. They're absolutely obsessed with him. There's nothing in life that happens or that they see that they can't relate back to Donald Trump. But I think it's actually tremendously sad because these people live in hate and they live in fear all the time because they're constantly preoccupied with that man. And I don't know what's going to happen to their lives once Donald Trump is out of office and once he passes away. I know that we will see nastiness on a scale that far surpasses anything with Charlie Kirk when Donald Trump dies. But then what of their lives? They'll have nowhere to focus all that hate. They'll have no more boogeyman. I'm guessing that their lives are going to continue on as they are right now, which is rather empty. If you're going to make your every passing thought, whether it's online or in person or to your friends or your family, something about Donald Trump. Grow up. You're just Peter Pan and he's just your Captain Hook, and it's a childish fantasy to constantly in your mind be doing battle with this guy. It's rather lame. But I still get into it with other people on Instagram. But I had this really funny one. I should have pulled it up, but it's this cartoon panel from like the 70s where this black chick with a fro. It's like from 1970, and she becomes Spider-Woman. It's like, clearly an attempt at spin off the character in a new direction. But it's from 1970. It's very clearly like a John Romita drawing. And so I comment on it, woke, as though it's like one of the more recent attempts to make comic characters politically correct. But this one's clearly from the 70s, so it's clearly not woke. But it's just a joke. But of course, a lot of people were like kind of coming back at me. Well, on my Instagram page, it literally says, if you came here to check me out because you're mad about the comment, I apologize for nothing. Hit like and subscribe. Because I would make comments and people would go to my Instagram to look up things about me to dig on me about. Oh, look at Mr. Influencer, Mr. Podcaster here. He thinks he's so important or whatever. Or look at Mr. Cartoon here. He draws these little cartoons and thinks he's so important. Like, it doesn't matter what's on your Instagram. The people will go to your Instagram and they will find something there to mock you about. Like, oh, you, Mr. Professional Chef. Like, you think your little videos on how to make pancakes is cool to anyone? It's not. Whatever it is, it's on your Instagram. So I have on the bio. If you came here to check me out because you were mad, I apologize for nothing. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, kind of just for the rage baiting them. Well, one of these comments I get was someone said, how many retarded comments do you make that you put that in your bio? And I said, how rage baited were you that you actually went to my profile to check me out? And he goes, extremely. I'm like, well, it was just a joke. I hope that it doesn't ruin your day. Put on the Packers game, call someone you love, and I hope you have a good night. And he goes, well, I hate the Packers, and this has truly ruined my evening. I hope you're happy. And I said, no, I also hate the Packers, and if I could take this all back, I would, and I'm not happy. So I was completely as nice to the guy as possible, taking it all back because I don't really care, And so I'm constantly doing that with people where um, someone else on another post was like, I had made some sort of sexist comment or something. And they were coming at me. But sometimes this stuff will be weeks ago and I don't fucking remember what it's about, nor do I've long since stopped caring, and someone will randomly comment. And it was something about, they started fighting with me about what a jerk I am or something. I'm like, and I made some comment about how, like, you don't even really know me. And then they said something about knowing me. And then because I don't remember the context of any of this, because this has gone on several weeks and I haven't made this my mission to care. I'm just like, can any of us really be known? Now it's philosophical because I just don't give a shit. And then I wake up this morning to this long message about how, a true authentic person will open themselves up and to be seen by other people and yada, 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 have the day you deserve. It's this whole thing. I'm trying to remember this whole fucking thread from weeks ago, and I don't remember it. I'm just like, well, good luck with your next wild ass guess the next time you're judging someone online. And I hope you felt superior this morning because you're obviously playing catch up in the self-esteem department. If you're going to follow up on an Instagram comment from several weeks ago, you probably were thinking about Donald Trump the last several weeks. That's why you forgot to follow up with me. Tyler's here. It's good to see Tyler. Tyler, let me know when to send out your stickers, I guess. They're on top of my fridge, so spend that time defeating President Newsom. I don't know what that means. Again, comments without context. No idea what's going on. Hey, Lauren, good to see you here this week. You're not always here, so I appreciate that you stopped by. John is a massive influencer. Yes, to 10 people. I've been doing this for 3 years, every week for 3 years. And I've had big audiences occasionally. I've played live to as many as like 300 people before, which is a lot. But 3 years in, I go live at a predictable day and time, and there are 10 people here. And if I asked you to buy something, you probably wouldn't. So I don't think I'm that influential. Don't think I'm that popular. And I made the mistake of watching last week's episode of Com Center on my TV this week, and then I realized I don't have any reason why I don't like watching me. Why would anyone enjoy watching me? I think that's the main reason why Com Center is not really successful. And we've had some success, so like it's all relative, but it's like, again, kind of like going back to that guy's Instagram with the reels where he cooks. You go on YouTube and you just look up like cooking breakfast, and like there's people with channels where like all they do is cook on a griddle, which making pancakes, eggs, and bacon on a griddle is easy. And they'll give you these pro tips like, here's how you make really, really like crispy pancakes. And those videos will have 20,000 views. It's an aberration if we get a single video that's 20,000 views. So you want to know why we're not successful in the same level as breakfast is? It's because I don't have whatever it is, the certain je ne sais quoi that makes people influencers. Is it my face, which was recently described as something out of Deliverance? my opinions, which are described by the internet as bad, my cadence, my tone, is it my set, is it my 1080p camera? I don't know. Is it my, I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't have, and I'm not willing to change myself. I'm not willing to come out here and just do a straight up performance as somebody else to succeed. So I will never succeed. And with success no longer an option, what am I doing? I'm the least important person I know. My wife reminds me of that all the time. I hope that you actually have a loving relationship with your wife. The whole "my wife hates me" jokes are very Gen X, Michael. I think you are quite a bit older than me, though, aren't you? So doesn't that just track? I love trolling. I don't even do it to troll, though. People get mad at me anyway. I don't, when I got up there and said woke about Spider Woman, it was just a throwaway comment. It obviously wasn't woke. This is like some character thing they were trying to do back in the 70s. Like it was clearly wasn't a part, like no one would have called it woke at that time. And I just wrote it and you got a whole bunch of people mad. Everybody's mad in comment sections though. Everybody is. I don't get it. I guess it's maybe just you have to ask a bigger question. Not why is everyone mad in comment sections, but why is the internet the place where people go to be angry towards each other? Is it because they can't get away with it in real life? I assume that's what it is. So they take out their aggression on other people. We got some angry and sad people in this country. And I guess I would know I'm one of them. I have found that people on MyFace and InstaFace or bots oftentimes just laugh at my jerk comment and do the same and say, "Nice arguing with you. Have a good day." I don't hate them. People don't say that to me. John's cult, John's for life. I think it was Norm Macdonald who said, what was that he said about, he said something about how a movie or something develops a cult following. And I wish I could remember his exact phraseology on it because it was hilarious, but he basically just said how the point of the joke was how that's the worst thing for someone who's trying to be successful is that all you could develop is a cult following. I'm available to everybody on YouTube throughout the world. 8 billion people. And 10 are here today. Some of us have day jobs. Well, yeah. I don't know what point you're trying to make here. I'm not trying to become more important than anyone's job. This comment, perhaps more than any other, makes me want to stop doing this. To be honest, some of us have day jobs. Well, I mean, I have a day job. It just happens at night. When you say some of us have day jobs, maybe you're just trying to make a comment about how some of us aren't available during certain times. But Silly Manor had the unintentional consequence of completely distilling down how unimportant this is. It's it's not important as anyone doing their job. In other words, I'm only as important as a pastime in a bathroom while you're taking a long break. That's when I come into importance. Jonathan, it's because you're self-defeating. Am I? You don't think you will make it, so you tear yourself down before you succeed rather than be disappointed in trying. That's not true. I've tried my ass off. I work really hard. And on Comm Center, I put my best foot forward, and I'm not terribly self-deprecating on that show. The show's not necessarily about my persona or my personality. That's me as a professional, and those are me with my insights, and they don't get traction. Self-defeating. No, it's not me that made our last video last week have 200 views. That's not me. I didn't do that. I worked just as hard on that as anything else. I tried to find an interesting case. I worked on the asset. I broke it down with a cop. I did what I normally do. And even though we've had huge exposure and traction in other arenas, people don't come back to watch. That's not something I did. That's something I failed to do, but I didn't sabotage myself. I'm 42. Oh, sorry, Michael. He's the same age as me. Oh, I'm sorry your wife actually hates you. That's horrible. I wish I had raspberry cream. I just have maple brown sugar coffee. That does sound good. I found another stash. I bought out the stock from another grocery store yesterday. I'm going to get sick of them soon. It's because you're not following the agenda and speak your mind. YouTube will not promote you. I'm getting a little tired of saying YouTube won't promote you because you speak your mind. There's a podcast out there called Fleckus Talks that's pretty based. And the stuff they say on there is stuff that I don't even really dare to say here because what they do is the podcast, right? They don't have to be held accountable to anyone. I've got a job where I have a boss who's an elected official. So I don't ever really go full based. You guys don't ever really hear everything I have to say. They do. They're extremely anti-narrative. They're extremely based, whatever you want to call it. And they're extremely successful. So it's not because of my opinions. That's not it. Because they're a show that's hugely successful. They're very much against being PC and the narrative and all this. So it's not that. Rodney Dangerfield is definitely my favorite. That time because of our similar relationships. Yeah, he was always talking about how his wife hated him. Everyone is mad at comment section because everyone is mad in real life. That's true. Half my guys no show on Monday. That's frustrating, man. It's hard to be here in the middle of the day, even if it's the same time and day. Okay. People don't have to be here live. I look at the final numbers though, and I had one big episode, the episode where I talked about Three Kings Day. I had 300 views on that, which was amazing. But after that, subsequent to that, I did not build a lot of subscribers out of that. And like my next episode was 14 views. So it's not just who's here live, it's who watches me in general. And people, so 324 people watched that episode. And they didn't come back. So there's like, you guys, I don't mean to like dog on you, but it's like I've got the numbers to back up my opinion about myself. It's not just me being self-defeating, or it's not the system, it's not YouTube throttling me. It's just me. It's okay. I don't have to be saved for my own feelings. It's all right. Jonathan, you have to get that one viral vid that gets you seen. Okay, I did that. We did the Sandra Birchmore video that got seen by 90,000 people, which is pretty viral by my standards. 90,000. And I got 12 today. So needs to pick me up and needs to go back to bed. Yeah. Fleckus Talks also seems to take any and all ads that are half ads. I don't know what that means. They seem to take any and all ads. Oh, you mean like advertisers? At least they have advertisers. I can't get chalk or random stem cell chocolate milk to sponsor me. I'd be pissed if I found out I had a wife. Well, anything could happen. If the government's in charge of that, then you never know. Jen, you know how many hours your voice has played in my ears over the years? Bazillions. Yes. Thank you for being in my cult. And I don't want to sound like I'm not grateful. Like years ago, we can go back to 2021, 2022, when I was first like entertaining the idea of podcasting, because I like talking and telling stories. And I can remember occasions where I held court, like in social situations where like I would be in a room with people and everyone in the room was listening to me talk. And how that was like a really interesting feeling for me, because I was an introvert, but also I was sort of an interesting guy. And then I had done that YouTube that I showed you guys that one time, where I did basically a talk show in my garage. And I thought, at the risk of patting myself on the back, because I always do, I thought it was hilarious and I enjoyed doing it. That I wanted to do podcasting, and that it was okay with me to never ever be a really huge deal. That it would be nice just to have a comfortably small audience. So, like, in that sense, I've succeeded. But so I like showing up on Monday morning and talking to you guys, even if it's 12 people. But it's the other stuff that I'm doing. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels, like with Comm Center, because and I know not everything's always going to work out, and sometimes things don't always work out. Here we got Julian Garcia, who wants to talk about the Cowboys. Because I put it in the comments section and all that. The Cowboys haven't beaten the Broncos since 1995. There's been a lot of bad games between us and the Broncos. I can remember Ezekiel Elliott coming off of his suspension in 2017 and having just a tremendously bad game against the Broncos. He only ran for like 20 yards. And then we had that game with Romo and Manning, where there was no defense at all, but it ended like, 48-52 or whatever. Cowboys have no hope right now because they don't have a defense. They're trying to get some sort of deal done to get a pass rusher to replace Micah Parsons finally in, week 10. But nobody will do deals with Jerry Jones because he's not well liked, and he's not people don't like doing deals with him. Julia and I just don't want to waste your time. I'm not going to talk a lot about sports and the Cowboys. If you clicked here because you felt like I was going to talk a lot about sports today, I wasted your time. And maybe that's why I don't deserve to succeed, Julian. So I think he's already gone. So that was at 10:56. That was 3 minutes ago. Thanks for stopping by. Their show is mostly ads. I don't, it really isn't. They start off with an ad right after their theme song, but then after that, it's pretty much good to go. Very rarely do they have any mid-roll ads. They would occasionally have some before Cringe of the Week or whatever, but they have a long ad at the top of their show, and then they're usually good to go. Apologies to Julian Garcia for wasting his time. Maybe that's actually my problem, is that I put stuff in the thumbnail and in the episode description, and that the episode's not really about that. But how do you do a show because I don't ever know what I'm going to talk about when the show starts? I have no idea. If you and Drew could whip up some pancakes in an upcoming episode, that would be great. Patty, I'm too scarred from the time when I was making pancakes. And then I hear you say on the phone, now you listen to me, you son of a bitch. And then I'm like, I'm going to stop cooking, but I'm going to get back out there. Patty Jones, a 911 operator who's literally called someone a son of a bitch on the phone. Not sure how you got away with that one. It's only because it was that specific person, and all of his complaints are illegitimate, I guess. But That I still have PTSD from that moment. If you could do a case where you replace the K-pop Demon Hunter characters, then you'll be huge. Yeah, just appealing to the mass audiences. Sorry to Julian for wasting his time. See, I feel bad about that now. I feel like I baited the guy in to watch the show that's not about anything he wanted to talk about. Catfished a random Cowboys fan. Sorry about that. I really need to get to Des Moines to do Civil War research. I think they were out of it. This is not a sports show. Well, Tyler, yeah, but look at the name of the episode. The Giants' hope is destroyed. Look at the, I made it look like a sports show. So I catfished a guy. Ohio State hasn't beat Michigan since 2019, regardless of how OSU was. Thank you, Michael, for putting some sports stuff in there. Jonathan, you are so wrong. Well, you think that all the time, and yet peanut butter, crunchy peanut butter persists. Maybe I'm just in a market where I listen, but I get like 4 or 5 ad breaks per episode. I get what. So okay, so what the difference is that I'm on YouTube Premium, so I don't get those ads that you get. So I don't. The experience that you're talking about, I don't even have. So I'm sorry. You may be right. Title of the show: Random Shit to Talk About in Memes. So how do I do that 2 weeks in a row? Just joshing with John. The thing is, when at the time when I was putting the show together, I was thinking and feeling things about the Giants and the Cowboys. And then in the episode description, if you look at it, it's actually a Simpsons joke. I don't know. Flexing about his YouTube Premium. I get that for free from Drew, so I'm not flexing. I'm enjoying watching more college football. To anyone who who came here for a college opinion, I'm enjoying more college football this year than I have previous years. Let's just quit all this shit. It's been 33 minutes. I had to you know what I need to do? I need to actually put a clock on this desk with a timer that says this is how long you're allowed to talk for random shit before the memes start. Instead of falling in love, use that time and learn Chinese. At least that's an investment in the future that you can count on. At some point, the Chinese will be our slave masters. Love is an illusion. Love is hormones and chemicals swimming around in the brain, hypothalamus doing things, or however that brain stuff works. The Chinese definitely exist. The Chinese are real, whereas love is not. I respect Little Caesars because they aren't ever trying to sell you their product. It's just like $6. Who cares? It's completely true. I saw a Little Caesars commercial this weekend where they were using certain phraseology from memes. And it was just stuff that you see in memes. That was the announcer was doing that. Well, at one point they mentioned the text from the Futurama meme, "Shut up and take my money." So the guy sitting there is like, "Oh, and you can get all this for $6? Shut up and take my money." And it's just like, I don't, it's a meme, so it's fine. But I don't remember a time where a commercial product literally mentioned that the goods that they offer are in exchange for money. And so just hearing it without that context, it's just like, oh yeah, this is commerce. That's what we're seeing here. So brazenly displayed. Speaking of pizza, the thin bread crust line. Pizza delivery is twice as dangerous as being a cop. Salute the real troops. This would make Drew insane if he were here. Because although the instances of violence on pizza delivery drivers are probably twice as high as cops, how often are police officers in danger, but they control that danger so that they don't get hurt? A pizza delivery guy just shows up and whatever happens, right? He's not wearing a vest. He doesn't have red, blue flashing lights. He doesn't have any backup. He's not going to have if the Pizza Hut guy comes by and gets into some shit, the Domino's guy is not going to come over and help, The cops, are in some kind of peril. Obviously, a lot more than the pizza guys, but the other thing is too is that the kind of a person who will assault a pizza delivery driver is kind of like the kind of person who would hit a woman. They won't hit a man; they'll hit a woman. They'll hit a weak target, a pizza delivery driver, but not a cop. But they are the real heroes anyway, because no police officer has ever brought me pizza. So, retard is back. We did it. Congratulations to all involved. I know this actually came out a long time ago. The R word is back. How a slur became renormalized by Scotty Andrew. From a you could actually approach this from an intellectual standpoint and say, like, sociolinguistic standpoint, like how do cultures and subcultures regarding the use of words change over time? Because we've seen a massive shift in how that word got used since the 80s, but also within the last 5 years. And what are these cultural forces, and how do they represent certain classes and types of people and backlash? And I could make a case about how people try to be kind and polite, and it's not enough. They still get accused of being mean, slanderous, vicious, racist, and all these terrible things. All these people who are showing self-restraint still get to take on they're still being rebuked for what they are, even though they're showing restraint. So why the hell show restraint? You might as well just say what you think, right? But anyway, we brought it back. Retard's back. So for those of you who think that I shouldn't be saying that word, a word only has as much power to bother you as you give it. I kind of get sick at this talk that I ought not say certain words. Well, you ought to regulate your emotions. And there's no reason why, when you hear something, that you need to feel anything at all. That's on you. You can choose to be, you could choose to not care. You could choose to be detached from that. You can choose not to have a reaction. You can control yourself. And if you're the kind of person where someone says words like that and it really, really, really bothers you, then you're just a tissue in everyone else's hurricane. And I feel sorry for you, because you let other people dictate your emotions and how you feel at any given time. All they have to do is utter a certain word, and you're predisposed towards an emotion. You're an emotional person. Be intellectual. I know that that's ridiculous that you're hearing from someone who says the word retard a call to be an intellectual, but you should be. Control your emotions. Don't be so easily swayed. If someone is in the room is using a word you don't like, isn't it easier to be the bigger person than them and simply not care? And how often are people using those words simply to get a reaction out of you? Well, you feed directly into that whenever you chastise them and tell them they ought not say that word. You imbue it with strength the more you resist it. I remember when I was in high school, I've probably told this story, but there was a meeting of the KKK at a local library. And some people in our high school were going to go protest this meeting of the KKK. And I think there was a girl that I kind of respected intellectually. I probably liked her, but I viewed all women as unapproachable. But I asked her what she thought about that and if she was going to go protest that, though. And she was just so much smarter than me. She goes, no, that I would give them exactly what they wanted, which is attention. And sure enough, that's what happened. We had 3 guys go to a library. They weren't wearing white. They weren't wearing white hoods or vestments or any of their silly ghost shit. But people showed up to protest them, and the news was there, and they made a big fucking deal about 3 so-called Klansmen meeting at the library. And it totally fed into their self-image and made them into a big deal. And if they had announced the Ku Klux Klan now meets at this library, and people would just be like, shh, it's quiet in the library, like if that's all they'd been met with, it would have totally taken away their power. But the outrage is what gives them power. And so if you want to know why the word retard is even being mentioned by CNN, it's because the people who have outrage give that word power. So if you want that word to stop having power, maybe stop all the outrage about it. It is on you. Instead of falling in love, yes, we already did this one. Just become Chinese. I'm deleting that meme so I don't come back to it. Here's something else we see a lot right now. Both the left and the right calling each other racist. The left calling Republicans racist because it's their cheap defense mechanism, anything that they could do to play, a cheap card to play when they're losing an argument. And the Republicans trying to use some intellectualism here to actually point out that the left is accusing them of what they are guilty. And then here's me over here on the right. You guys are gay. You waste all this time, all this effort and energy. It's pointless. Get out of that game too. Before you attempt to correct my tone, be aware. I'm not here to be positive. I'm here to do good. That is not the same thing. This is something that has driven me often at work. Sometimes my tone is often not very positive. Sometimes I can toe that line pretty well. But I'm here to do good work. And I think doing it authoritatively can't always be done with a positive tone. But I'll probably take it a little too far. A lot of y'all don't understand politics because your history teacher was the football coach. I had sports coaches who were my teachers in high school. They did not give a shit. They did not care. I had a tennis coach who was a teacher of mine in college. He was teaching me police operations and issues. Do you have any idea how many episodes of Cops in First 48 we watched on that in that class? In fact, I think we had a concert on campus once. Gosh, who was it? I want to say Reliant K, but there's no way it was that big of a band. But they were having a concert on our campus, and he's just like, you guys all want to go to the concert, don't you? And we're all just like, you know. He goes, I can tell you really want to go. Go have a good night. And it's just like, nobody went to that. Nobody went to the concert. He just didn't care. He was the tennis coach. He didn't care. It's fine. Your baby's crying because it wants a cigarette. Babies know what's going on. They have they're all instinctual. They're born with knowing what they need, but not being able to articulate it. And that is why they cry. Brave Little Bath Bomb, the sequel we all needed. Get in there, little guy. Here we have a football game between Al-Qaeda, the Islamic supremacists, and the Islamic State Islam jihadists. If only they would get together for a football game, but they consider football to be a decadent thing. I want them to get together and play football because they might realize it's not the worst thing in the world. Also, it would make a dense targeting cluster. Good place to send a bomb. I got a different definition of procrastination yesterday that made me sit up. Procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another opportunity to do what you had to do, what you had time to do it differently. It does kind of make you look and think about how life is a gift, and every moment you persist on is a gift being bestowed upon you. But there's another layer of arrogance here, that the things that we're doing, the things that most of us are doing, and when I say most of us, I'm just going to say me. Does God care about those things? I think God cares about me, and I think I'm important to God, but I think I do a lot of worldly things that don't necessarily advance anything that God's interested in. So I think it's an arrogant assumption to think that God owes you another opportunity to do what you had time to do. And I also think it's an arrogant assumption that any of these things that you're doing, God has any interest in. Sci-fi author. In my book, I invented the Torment Nexus as a cautionary tale. Tech company. At long last, we have created the Torment Nexus from classic sci-fi novel. Don't create the Torment Nexus. Isn't this what we keep doing? 1984 happened, and then we looked at that as like a plan for how to construct a society instead of like for how not to. Animal Farm, how not to have a society, and yet that's what we're doing. And all these devices and things, Minority Report, technology everywhere, AI. I sent Drew an article about how I think it's Phoenix PD or something, but they're setting up a computer that basically looks at overtime and citizen complaints and all these like different metrics of a police officer to basically construct a Minority Report about how likely they are to do something bad in the future as a police officer. Can you imagine being hauled into the office and said, "Hey, the precogs think that you're gonna kill a guy in your shift today"? You're just like, "Well, why do they think that?" Well, because of all these things. They got a Red Bull on you, so turn in your badge and gun. Yet it's becoming a reality. AI is becoming a reality. What's funny about Minority Report is that that was a case of mistaken identity that caused the main character to be hunted by law enforcement officials because it was essentially a faked footage. Well, now anyone can make a video of you committing a crime, and who's to say if it's real or not? It's very scary. My anxiety level goes way up for missing these things. My cell phone goes up by 90%, keys 80%, wallet 95%. But if I lose my Canon MG3620, my anxiety jumps up 220%. Where is it? I have a printer in here that's not even hooked up to anything. I think you have to have an optical drive to hook it up. I think it came with a CD that you need. This thing's fucking useless. Where are you at on the spectrum? Just this one. Suffering to the point of self-destruction, self-aware to the point of suffocation. Jenny, I want to know where you think that I am here. Why am I so worldly? Because I'm a human being and it's my nature to be worldly. An ironic quote there. But she's using a nicotine patch now. That's how you know that Foxy's a good mom. She doesn't let her kids smoke. She just gets them patches. Or sports coaches taught driver's ed at sports medicine. But he was also a retired 49ers player. He barely fit in the little Ford Taurus we use for driver's ed. The English language is vast. There are so many alternatives to people down too. I don't know exactly what you mean. Having been called weird all my life and fat as a kid, I just try not to hurt people's feelings. Absolutely. You got that empathy. That's good. Here's the thing. I'm not talking about calling people retarded. You could say a situation's retarded, or you can say someone's ability to reason a situation is retarded. The thing is retarded. It has a connotation and a denotation. There's what the word literally means, and then it's what it means to you. And those two things are not necessarily the same. Okay. So when I use a word for its meaning in the Merriam-Webster English Dictionary, that's not something that should hurt your feelings. And to tell you, it sounds like I'm attacking you, but I just mean to anyone, right? A word has a connotation. That's what it means to you. Certain feelings that it evokes for you, and then it has a denotation. Okay, so there's a literal out of the dictionary definition for the word. Something can be retarded. It's just the same thing. If you say that, someone's reasoning on something is retarded, you could say, well, they really, the thought process on this was really, the development of that was strongly arrested. They didn't come to a well thought out conclusion. They didn't look at other forms of evidence. They didn't, consider this. Perhaps they were overcome by emotion and they stopped thinking, and so their thought process was retarded by emotion. See, the word literally just has a meaning. Or you could say that you could even use it, to say the Klan is retarded. Certainly, we all think the Klan is retarded. I think the Ku Klux Klan is retarded. How do you feel about saying the Ku Klux Klan is retarded? Should I not call the Ku Klux Klan retarded? This is I'm not even trying to make a point about the Ku Klux Klan. I'm making a point about that word. I think it's perfectly fine to have a word that is, even if you wanted to just go ahead and say and acknowledge that the word has a certain connotation to it. Wielded properly, isn't it a good thing to be able to mock something? It is. We do need to be able to mock certain ideas, tell you, because not all ideas are equal of value. Certainly, hatred and evil should be mocked. Anything that's stupid should be mocked. Anything that leaves people deceived and ruins their lives should be mocked. Think about the poor mechanics at Dodge dealerships. Jesus. I'm just kidding. Everybody's piling on me today. Hey, customer thinks he blew a tranny. Maybe he sounds like he should speak primary care physician. Yes. These were all words all in the medical world and deemed as classification, but the stigma became as an insult to the inflicted persons. It's confusing. Well, yes, I love this point that you just made. It used to be a clinical term to be clinically retarded. And so if the word has a clinical term, then why can it not be used clinically? Why do we have to just say, well, no one should say it? And why do we say that at all? Why do we say that no one? I mean, I understand that in polite situations, you would not want to use that word. You wouldn't want to use it in a job interview. You shouldn't say that word at church, probably, But why are we all tutting each other about how we ought not say certain things? We're just doing that when someone says don't say this word, they're just doing it to feel morally superior to you. Why do they feel a need to control anything you say? If they don't like what you're saying, they have every right to leave and not listen. But certain people really get off on feeling superior to other people, so they tell them, well, you ought not be saying that word, or that tells me a lot about you because you would use that word. Pizza was good back in the 80s, Taliu. Very good. They have no place in the world? That's not true. That's not true either. Although their ideas do not have any strong value, they have a right to their opinion. And saying they have no place in the world means that it kind of suggests that we have the right to control other people's thoughts. We have the right to police their thoughts and feelings. No, the KKK has a place in this world. They have the right to exist because any thought should be allowed to exist. But ridiculing the KKK is how I respond to that, not by denying them existence. Let them exist and let us ridicule them until they correct themselves. That's their place. And also, they're just, I don't really think that they're that big of a deal. Certainly not in the modern era. Jonathan, can you be on both ends of the spectrum? I might be the entire spectrum, suffering to the point of self-destruction and self-aware to the point of suffocation. Hard disagree. Well, okay. Here's the thing. There's somebody out there, and it's not me, Tally, but there's someone out there that feels like something that you think shouldn't exist. Whatever that is. I'm not going to have you announce yourself. But suppose there's someone out there that thinks that whatever you believe or whatever you think has no place in this world. Whatever you think and whatever you believe has no place in this world. Do you think that's fair? It's fair for them to say that, but do you think that your thoughts and your feelings ought to be stamped out? I think you're so caught up in the moral quality of the KKK that we're forgetting that what we're actually talking about is policing other people's thoughts and feelings. Nobody ever agrees with me. Okay, but what if they were to use some sort of pressure or some sort of coercive power to literally attempt to put that way of thinking out of existence? Because it has no place in this world. What if they attempted to police your thoughts or your feelings or your right to assemble at the library? What if, Taliu, you wanted to meet at the library with 3 people, 2 other people that happen to agree with you? Right? Whatever that is. You call it the Candy Bar Club. 2 other people with you on Earth happen to agree with you and you want to go to the library. Now, it's stupid of you to announce yourselves and draw all kinds of provocation to the world when you know that what your views are rather uncomfortable. But should they stamp out your thoughts and feelings? No. They can mock you and that's fine. You can feel ashamed. And maybe you can judge for yourself whether public displays of your values are worth the ridicule. Maybe they're not. Maybe you can realize that a lot of people don't agree with you, so you can use that to evaluate yourself as to whether or not you're the things that you think really have value. But it's not up to you to say the KKK has no place to exist, as much as it's not up to them to have any saying about how your thoughts and feelings have no rights to exist. Not everything is equal value, but we shouldn't have that power over each other to stamp out those thoughts and feelings. Everyone has them, though. When we left our giant firm to start our new firm, there were 3 of us, each having a last name beginning with a K. Sort of steered our firm towards first name pretty aggressively. I was going to say Kendricks doesn't start with a K. Try to live by the golden rule in general. Perfect, but your opinions should not affect others negatively. Well, okay. Opinions should not affect others negatively. But that affectation is seated within their own heart. They're the ones who are deciding to be affected by it. That the offense taken is within them. They're the ones taking offense. Anyone can take offense at anything. That's the culture that we live in now, Taliu, and that's why things are so run up PC, is because anyone could point to anything and say that's offensive, and now the person who is offering so-called offense is now on the defensive. They now have to apologize for what they are. And that's why you see the resurgence of the words retarded, because they're tired of apologizing. They're tired of being on the defensive. They're tired of self-restraint when they're still getting chastised for what they think and believe anyway. So when you say your opinions should not affect others negatively, I couldn't disagree more. Anything that is true, anything that is truly of value, anything that has substance is going to offend somebody. And you know what? There are people out there that are evil. So your comment about how the KKK has no place in our world, do you realize that affects the KKK negatively for you to say that they might take some offense to that might affect them negatively? So I just want you to kind of narrow this down or dial this in, Taliu. How is it that you're going to live by the golden rule and treat people the way you want to be treated, but you're also going to tell a group of people, whatever they are, that they have no place in this world? If you have a place in this world and you want to be in it and you want to treat others the way you want to be treated, shouldn't the KKK be given that golden rule treatment? I'm just saying, yes, treat people the way you want to be treated, but you also, you can make a substantive moral judgment about things and you could treat it accordingly, and you do it with mockery, but not with stamping them out, right? So you can use words that maybe offend them and they could choose to be offended or not. That's okay, Telly. We can cancel it. I'm actually on both sides of the argument here anyway. It's okay. I don't want you to feel like I'm ganging up on you. It's also really not fair. You're right, because I can talk, 100 words a minute here, and you're supposed to keep up with the keyboard. So I hope you don't feel like I was attacking you, though. I feel like you opened up a really good avenue of debate there. I will say this, though, to talk your side. I wish the golden rule was enough. I went through some training a couple years ago, and it was some cultural sensitivity, cultural competence training for the modern times. It was multiple choice, and it was about dealing with people who live a life that's very, very different than yours. Perhaps you guys get what I'm going towards here. And I had options A, B, C, and D. And option C was I should treat them the way I want to be treated. And that actually is the greatest commandment. It comes from Jesus Christ, and I don't know how you could do better than Jesus, right? If you think that you can give better advice than Jesus, well, then you congratulations on your promotion to God. But option D was you should treat that person the way they want to be treated. And I thought that was ridiculous, so I didn't choose D. Treat someone the way they want to be treated. What if they want to be treated with entitlement? What if they wanted to be treated with insanity? What if they wanted to be treated with total detachment from reality? I ought to indulge that then. I ought to play their game. They get to set the agenda, the rules, the boundaries for norms and what is true and not true. And I have to play within that field because I have to treat them the way that they want to be treated. Never mind that they don't have to treat me the way that I want to be treated, because I'm someone who's living my life in a relatively traditional, conservative, associative, normative way. I don't get what I would get. I don't get what I want. I don't get to be treated the way I want to be treated. I have an affirmative obligation to treat them how they want to be treated. It's very, very one-sided, and it's very, very transparent. And if you're not sure what I'm getting at here, then God bless you. By the way, sorry you had to look at that meme for like 20 minutes. Shame is a powerful tool, yes, and it ought to be brought to bear on the right people. We ought not restrain them from feeling or expressing themselves, but we can sure shame them. Not offended. Like a good debate. It's how we learn and open our minds to other ideas. Well, good. I always appreciate you, Talia. I appreciate everybody here, but you push back more than other people, and you say things other people here don't necessarily do, and I appreciate that. Plenty of folks offended by John's reference to Jesus. Jesus is the most offensive thing. Jesus was so offensive in his time, he got executed by the state. He usurped the power of the church and the Pharisees. And the Pharisees went to the Roman government and said, hey, this guy's saying he's a king, Caesar. What do you think about that? They set him up to get cooked by the government. And today in Nigeria, you got Christians being put into mass graves because of what they believe. Jesus is very offensive. The truth of Jesus Christ and the gospel, extremely offensive. It may be the most offensive thing ever. Why else would we be crucified and killed and shot and all these things for it if it were not offensive? The gospel is absolutely offensive, and it absolutely offends the world. And that's why evangelists are being labeled as hateful and all this. Hopefully you can hear me. Just did the thing again where it cut loose. It says it's working. It says it's getting audio from my Rodecaster. Not the Italians. Persecution comes with the territory. Yeah, it sure does. I believe it's in the Bible. I should look it up because you shouldn't just like haphazardly quote the Bible. John 15:18. If the world hates you, understand that it hated me first. Those are the words of Christ. If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. And so, if Christ was persecuted for what Christ did, for what Christ said, you can expect as a follower of Christ to be persecuted. That's just what's going to happen. I might have these little serious moments go over better if I didn't have a meme about it. Late 90s, early 2000s computers absolutely dominating an apartment. You guys live in an apartment? We're all about the age that in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were living in small apartments. And if you had a computer and a console, it was absolutely huge. All these games and possibly DVDs. There's a GameCube there under the TV, but man, remember this? And they'll just take you back. Please stop. I can't take any more caffeine. The heart is deceitful above all things. More biblical knowledge being dropped on you here. For you have the white monster. Jane Austen understood that nothing is sexier than standing 7 feet away from someone, making brief eye contact, and then going home. It was so much easier to be sexy when society was more polite and when everyone was more demure. And I don't just mean females. But like when rules of protocol and politeness like just dominate everything so much that, I mean, those Jane Austen novels were pretty much about comedic and overblown misunderstandings because societal protocol. Can you imagine, just the way our culture has changed from Jane Austen, prim and proper young ladies, dashing young lads on horseback. And now we have songs called Wet Ass Pussy. We've really grown as a society. There are some saving graces, like this hospital in Augusta features the nation's first 24-hour Chick-fil-A vending machine. Would you really want hot fried chicken out of a vending machine? Does this thing literally have... I mean, I guess it's, it's got to be in there and it's frozen and it heats it up under a broiler or something. How does that work? Well, I'll just have to be hospitalized in Augusta to figure it out. I know that this is kind of an old one, but it came back through again. Columbus was an immigrant who brought diversity to America. Changed my mind. HDMI to chicken soup converter. I know a lot of people think, well, that's a pretty stupid meme. But if you could plug in a bowl into your computer or whatever and it just made chicken soup, hell yeah, brother. Poor guy Julian who showed up expecting sports talk because I misled him. I should have posted this meme first. I used to see guys sitting at the bar by themselves eating, and I used to feel so bad for them. Now I realize that dude was in heaven. Joe Flacco's got 5 kids. Yeah. Sometimes I see people at like Olive Garden and they eat at the bar by themselves. I'm like, really? You just came to Olive Garden? You came down here for some chicken parmigiana and Miller Lite, and you're eating at the bar in Olive Garden? I always presume, I make up a little story for them, like they've got to be on a business trip and this is their per diem, right? They literally have $30 to spend on dinner, so they might as well go to Olive Garden, but they're not going to sit at a table by themselves. Have Olive Garden delivered to your room then. Having a beer is a prank. I've started drinking beer again. I gave up alcohol for a long time. Something about the winter makes it seem like a good idea. This little suggestion at the top of my hamburger helper box is how I know we're about to have a Great Depression Part 2. Try it with hot dogs instead of ground beef. You can't afford ground beef. This past Thursday, I went to the grocery store on the way home and I got stuff to make chili, a big batch of chili for the weekend. Yes, I bought all those energy drinks as well. What else could I have bought? But I walked out of there paying $70. Admittedly, I do have a lot of chili. Not to brag, but I can forget what I'm doing while I'm doing it. I have a feeling that there's no way that this is the same text that was originally in the Superman panel. Is it one of Superman's superpowers that he can forget what he's doing while he's doing it? He single-handedly kept America from having the first female president twice. Here's something else we could talk about for half an hour, but seriously, those are the first female candidates that the Democrat Party could put up: Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. Those are the best female candidates that you've got. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to make a prediction right here, right now. First female president, be a conservative. Well, the only time that the Democrats can get 80 million votes is with an old white. So an old white guy, Joe Biden. The party of minorities and the marginalized can only get 80 million votes when they put out a white guy. So when I see someone who owns the same gun as me, but I own it better than them, I don't know. I just like James Franco. I'm at the grocery store. It's like, damn, what do I like to eat and drink? I don't even know. No idea what I like to eat and drink. Why is it that hard? During voir dire sidebar with a potential judge, you answered that you couldn't find the defendant not guilty, even if he wasn't. Can you elaborate on that? Yes, Judge. I just would rather have 10 innocent men in jail than one guilty man go free. This is a genius. This guy gets it. He's playing my game and he's playing for keeps. You basically show up at jury duty and to get out of it, you just let them know, I refuse to be reasonable. I've refused to go along with this. I will jail anyone. Put them in front of me and they are going to jail. Or you can play it the opposite way. I refuse to convict any man. I see the system as corrupt and crumbling. I see your laws as baseless and made up. And I refuse to send any man to deprive any man of his freedom based off of our system. And then all of a sudden, you cannot be seated as a juror. Mr. Clean understands that your child is long dead and is here to help. Let's take away those troublesome reminders. There are two ways we get out of this. One is billions dead, oceans of blood, continents turned to dust and smoldering ash. The other one involves being a little mean and saying no to a woman sometimes. Yep. Those are two options. We might be a little mean and saying no to women sometimes, saying no to them. Or we can just blow up the fucking country. Is we getting F? Is we getting food stamps this month? Is we getting extra food stamps? Is we getting extra food stamps this month? Is we getting a fourth stimulus check? Is we getting money from Instagram? Is we get vitamin D from the sun? Get ready for next week for the, the EBT memes. They're coming. Last meme of the day. This is how my gun looks at me when I drink 3 whiskeys on an empty stomach. Just 3. It's not hardly anything for a guy my size. All right. Looks pretty good to me. My gun. All right. It's the end of this horrible show. Show that let Julian down. Thought we were going to talk about the Cowboys. If only. I used to have that show and no one showed up for it. Seriously, we would get two listens on that, and one of them would be me. You guys are never here saying, bring back Illegal Shift. I missed that show. Nobody cared. All right. I'm a little tired. I'm a little worn down. All that arguing with Talia about qualitative analysis of ideas versus prior restraint really wore me out. I'm tuckered. I'm plain tuckered now. Another episode in the books, another proof of concept of why I should not succeed. I love eating at the bar myself. My family thinks it's weird and always gives me grief. So I look at the hostess to see them further from the bar. I got to try that sometime. Go to a restaurant with somebody and then eat by myself at the bar. I'm going to do that just as a gag. Jonathan, we are very different in our alcohol. It's easier to not drink in the cold weather. Yeah. Well, when I'm hot outside and mowing, I could drink a beer, but it just leaves me feeling dehydrated. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've just remember the meme I had last week, Jenny, sweatpants and carbs. I've been kind of leaning into that. Been a supervisor and a micro supervisor for retail. Was that pursuant to something I said? Potential chair as long as Karen Reed goes free. I don't care beyond that, JK. You know, the one who's really mad about Karen Reed is actually Drew. I don't think the state made that compelling of a case. I think she probably killed him, but I don't think the state succeeded. I get that Drew's point is that essentially everyone was brainwashed by the irresponsible recklessness and unaccountability of the defense. That's essentially what his issue is. But people got to overcome that shit. Yes, Foxy breaks it down. There's too much reliance on that. The ocean is too salty anyway. Someone once told me that the ocean was salty because whales had sex in it. Sorry to ruin your day with that. I listen to that show every week, and I've asked you, and then you said, "No, what are we getting rid of?" Yeah, well, like it or not, one person listening to the show, like I said, I had 2 downloads, and I was one of them. We just found the other person who listened to that show. We're just chop liver. Well, Foxy, you don't even spend money, so you don't even buy merch. So, are you chop livered? No, but I mean, if my time has any value, and I'm not seeing any compensation for that time, what am I? Am I chop liver? To just be making endless amounts of free podcasts every week. That's what I was for 2 years, just doing 9 podcasts a week. Not getting paid for it. You're broke. Well, yeah, I know. You know why I'm broke? Because I do all this work and nobody pays me. Oh, that reminds me. I was supposed to have this on the whole time. It's all right. I didn't earn it this episode. Forgot to turn that on. Chopped liver helps you play. I believe it's iron helps us play. Iron helps us play is the quote from The Simpsons. Foxy, if only that were the case. I talk to you every week, all the time. I talk to you more than like my family members. All right. This was not a good episode of this show. So we'll see how long I'm going to keep it up. Thanks to everybody who watched. Sorry for that. It's just one of those more depressing episodes, and that was my mood. Hope that you guys all have a good day. I don't know what to say. I'm just tired or something. It's just not going well for old John. It really is the worst day of the week some days, and some days are worse than others. Have a good day, everybody.